So working on the fence again, using the 3 panels and posts that I bought the other day. So post there, post here, digging another one here, following my string line. That's got to sit back a bit. I'm going to concrete them all at the same time. But I really had concerns when I started this hole and I heard a thud that I was hitting a root from this thing. But turns out I'm not hitting a root. I'm hitting a large chunk of sandstone and just busting it apart with a crowbar because the big drill won't go through sandstone. So very manually intensive, and I've got to check how deep I've got to go here because I'm right on where it's really starting to slope up. You can see I've got step ups along here, and where I am now is probably where the slope gets the steepest. So I've got the fence posts in. So now I've done 8 panels on this, and I'm basically at the end of what could be a hedge, and now it goes uphill to the front yard. So it's going to start stepping up fairly. This first step's going to be fairly significant. It's almost like the top will be here, so I'll have to put an infill panel at the bottom down this bottom section under the panel, main panel. A few pickets and stuff, and the rope. Just keeping this plumb while the 3 posts dry and they're concrete. Now I'm just packing up some tools. Use this little panel to check how high this slope is going to be. Hey, Christmas Day, Friday. I'd lost complete track of the days. I knew today was Christmas, but I thought it was Thursday. And I woke up hearing the garbage truck collecting the bins. And I'm going, what are they collecting the bins for a day early? Oh, crap. So my bins haven't been collected this week. Sucked a little bit because the main bin was pretty full. Should be right. So the last 2 days we had were good weather, and I got more of the fencing done the last week. I've also done a few honeydew jobs. I got the Venetian blinds for that back door I made. I shortened them and installed them so that they were a better fit. I also put a door seal across the bottom of the door to stop any draft and bugs and water and anything like that getting under the door. Not like much water would hit there, but still. Blinds that I bought, or that my wife bought that I went and collected. The other ones that we needed, she ordered online and they got delivered while I was doing the fence. I installed all of those, bottom deck and top deck. The bottom deck was easy enough because they were the perfect size for in between each post. Upstairs, however, is a longer deck, and it's got three of the same spacings, but then this really short spacing that you can't do much with. 2 that I went and collected were, instead of being 1800, which was the spacing, they were 2400 or 8 foot instead of 6 foot. Leftover space was 5 feet. She bought a 5 foot blind, and I put those up just going 8 foot, 8 foot, 5 foot. But after putting them up, when she came out to have a look, we thought, actually, the end of that deck where we want to put a little table and have coffee in the morning or something like that, it'd be nice to just have the short blind at that end to have a little blockage from the sun, but to still be able to see the rest of the view. Also blocks the neighbours. But if I've put the 8 foot one there and it's just not the right position, so I'm going to have to swap those around, which I said I'd do. However, today's cold, drizzling now. I'm on the way across the mountain, heading out to Dubbo because my dad's in hospital out there. So I'm going out to see him. Apparently he's being transferred into the city on Sunday, but I just want to go and see him for Christmas before he gets shot into Sydney, because they'll fly him in there. This will be a nice long run for the truck. Once you get over the mountain, there's 2 routes you can take to go to Dubbo. They're 8 kilometres different, and about, according to the maps, about 15 minutes different. So for the hell of it, I'm going to drive out one way and drive back the other way. Drive out the way that I don't normally do, and drive back the way that I would come back from Dad's at Lightning Ridge, because I know that way. And so when I'm driving back, I don't really have to think about it as much. And it'll be a lot later. I left my timing very late to drive out. It's just after 1 o'clock now, just shy of 4-hour drive. So I might show you some scenery, if we can see any scenery. Across the mountains we can't see anything because it's still just misty at the moment. The other side, it might be nice. Just passed through Lithgow. Next stop along here is Bathurst, because I'm going to go out Castlereagh Highway way instead of out through Mudgee. Speed limit out here is 100 k's, but I'm making sure that I'm going to make good use of the cruise control on this trip, because I've already passed a number of police cars, two stationary speed cameras. It goes to 110 here. Nice long open road. Last time I drove out this way was when I think it was when I went out to the professional development out at Bathurst on coding and the new syllabus a few years back. That was in the middle of the year and it snowed and I was in the old van. First time I'd ever seen it snow here in Australia. It's about 50 k's to Bathurst. Check on how far it is the rest of the way after I get there. Funny driving through this spot, so I missed my turn, and I'm having to sort of detour.
In 100 metres, turn right onto O'Reilly Place. Turn right onto O'Reilly Place.
Detouring through a residential area. And
continue for 5 kilometres.
If it wasn't for the surrounding scenery, you could swear you were just in like an outer Western Sydney suburb. I get to here and then it's just all farmland. don't know how long ago all those houses got built there, but I don't have a great memory of driving out this way to get the van when I picked up the van from Dad out at Dubbo back in 2013, I think. We drove out this way and then I drove the van back and the wife drove the Suzuki back. Glad I turned on my GPS because I passed a road that said to Orange and I went, hang on, I think I've got to drive through Orange. So I pressed the, started this up and it goes, oh, you're going to turn fairly soon to head out to Dubbo. There was no signage to Dubbo. I don't know whether I've missed a turn and this is just getting me back on track. Maybe I should have driven out the way I know, because I know that whole route out that way, and then there's just where I turn to go into Lightning Ridge, go the other direction, and that's straight to Dubbo. I have to have missed a turn. I'm pretty sure it's meant to be a much more open highway all the way up. Anyway, still travelling. I missed a turn. That brought me back to the highway, even though the highway is only 2 lanes, like one either way. I did see a sign for Orange. I should have followed that instead of just expecting I'd see a sign for Dubbo, because Orange was the next big town. Thought I'd be right without my GPS. I'm at Wellington, so I'm about 40 minutes from Dubbo, and what I've realised, because I'm now on the Mitchell Highway, I was on the Mitchell Highway earlier, my GPS is taking me cross country, and I don't know whether it's doing it as this is the fastest route or this is the shortest route. I think it's going, this is the shortest route, because I know that my dad has basically said to me, travelling down, if you go from Dubbo down through Bathurst to the mountains, it's longer and it's not necessarily faster, but it's a smoother drive because you're just basically sitting on the highway. And so when I hit the GPS thinking it was going to take me up the highway that way instead of me going up through Mudgee and across, and because I've got no idea of this route, when it said to take a northern bypass at Orange, I thought, okay, it's just going to bypass the actual township, go around it, and it took me cross country. This has been not the smoothest route. I've discovered, really discovering how this thing handles country roads, being that it's a solid rear axle with leaf springs. Can be skittish on corners and things. I think I'm on track now, because when I saw that it said it was going to make me turn left again in a couple of kilometres, I thought, oh, I'm going to be going cross country, but it's actually just making me get through the town.
In 400 metres, at the roundabout, take the first exit onto Morn Street, Mitchell Highway.
It's getting me through Wellington, so Wellington's an old country town. Decent size.
In 600 metres, at the roundabout, take the second exit and stay on Mitchell Highway A32.
See, I wish it had kept me on the Mitchell Highway the whole way. I've been driving along going, there's no way this is meant to be the road that Dad would take coming down this way. Because it was some rough and windy roads. Well, it's not too small a town, it's got a KFC. I've had my dash cam going the whole time, like it always does, and because it's taken me off road, it's off route. I think I'm going to do that as a time lapse from the mountains to Dubbo. 48 k's to Dubbo. Says I'll get there around 5. Just left Dubbo and I'm going back through Dunedoo and Mudgee because I know that route. Don't really know it that much from here to Dunedoo, but it's fairly straightforward. But once I'm there, I don't need my GPS at all. As it turns out, instead of just bringing me up the highway up through Molong, which it's not the fastest way, it's the smoothest way, I think, is what Dad has said in the past. But instead it brought me up through inland to try and get the shortest possible route. Anyway, I should get back to the house a bit after midnight. It's 8:30 p.m. right now. Sun has set. Some beautiful red clouds back that way, which you can kind of see here. I'm going to try and get a time lapse going back this way. I don't know how well it'll work in the dark. Chuck on some podcasts. I'll put on some music a bit later. Currently listening to the Clampcast. I'm a bit behind. I'm on the second. I'm not on the latest one. I'm on the one before. Long drive ahead. Episode 32 of the Clampcast. Grant and Morley and I think Zach was their guest, made a very good point. When you're first learning to do videos, especially when you have a camera that has a screen facing you, it's really difficult to get used to talking to the lens and not talking to yourself, because then you're not looking at the viewer. And it does take some practice, especially when you do have a screen facing you to help you set your setups and everything. I slip up when I'm doing these sort of things. Obviously I am not looking at the camera while I'm trying to navigate something, but that thing of getting used to addressing the lens, especially with your eyes, rather than addressing your image on the screen. So just remembering where your lens is and looking at it. I know that when I was doing this sort of thing when we were doing remote learning and talking to students remotely, when I was doing a presentation from my study, I actually got a little sticker, and I think it was a sticker of Yoda, and stuck it right next to the lens of my old phone, which I was using to connect via Zoom, so that I would look at the lens, so I was addressing the students, the audience, rather than looking at where I was on the screen. It definitely takes some practice, and in this case it's probably not going to stand out that much because I'm in a car that's heading into dusk. It is probably one of those things, trying to get used to addressing the lens rather than yourself. So good point, Morley and Grant and Zach, because Adam was away. And that episode's just now starting, so I'm going to get back to it. Remember how I said I wasn't going to need my GPS? Well, because I wasn't exactly sure how far along that road it was going to be that it would get to Dunedoo, I was following the GPS, and it turned me down a road that said to Dunedoo, and I went, cool, this is going to be fine. Then it made me take another turn, and long story short, it took me cross country again, and I've just pulled out of another road that said Gulgong that way, Mudgee this way. So I've bypassed Dunedoo completely. I've bypassed Gulgong in about 5.5 k's. I'll be back onto the Castlereagh Highway, which is the one that runs from Mudgee up to Dunedoo. Once I get there, then I can turn off my GPS, because I will know where I am. It was obviously shorter and quicker. Trying these out has been a bit hit and miss today because the blinds on the very top floor I had to redo because there's two different sizes, like two long ones and a 5 foot one. My wife wanted to have it rearranged. I'd put the 5 foot one right there. She wanted it down the other end so it can block the neighbours. So I did that. Put a Venetian blind back on the study door that used to be there. Install a big TV mount for the wall and the new TV that my wife bought. It's a couple of weeks back now, it's been sitting in the box. So that took quite a bit of time trying to get it at the right height. And today's like one of the first sunny days because it's been raining and then it's meant to rain for the rest of the week. So I tried to get out here to weed whack the yard. And as you can see, I've got all the top done, all around the other side of the shed. I've got this bit done and I've just been going down and down and down. I probably should have gone down and chopped out the bamboo first because I've just been hacking through it with the weed whacker, but that destroys the line. So if you see down here, there's a line across there and you can see longer grass on the other side. That's as far as I got when all the line disappeared. So I came back up here, came up to the shed, put the weed whacker down on the ground. You can probably just see it. Here it is. Went into the shed looking for line and I'm out of it. Got no line at all. And while I'm standing there annoyed with myself that I've got no weed whacker line, weed whacker just sort of slows down and stops. I need to get that in for a service. I could do it, but I think I prefer to have the place I bought it from, the Still store down in Penrith. I think I prefer to have them do a good service on it and get it back to running as good as it was when I first got it, because it stalls a lot. I need to keep it running really fast to make it work. So I'm going to have to go to Bunnings, buy more line, but the fact is it's probably going to rain for the next few days as well. My dad got flown down to RPA hospital last night from Dubbo and he's having surgery tomorrow. So I've got to go and give him a call and talk to the doctors about what time is his surgery, because I think I want to go down there tomorrow. And my cousin wants to go and see him on Tuesday. Today's Sunday. Well, can't do anything with the still. Go give Dad a call.